Hi everyone, my name is Betsy Camara and I am a Master's in Public Health student. I have the pleasure of working with the Humanitarian Assistance Technical Support, which is a USAID funded project that provides technical support to the Bureau of Humanitarian Assistance and is building the institutional capacity of the University of Arizona to address the urgent challenges of human and natural-based disasters. Today I'm going to present on case analysis of disaster recovery determinants for Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina, a Category 5 hurricane, hit New Orleans on August 29, 2005. The day before, a mandatory evacuation was issued to all residents, but only 70% left the city before Hurricane Katrina made landfall. Those left behind unable to evacuate due to limited resources, the majority of them being poor, African American, elderly, or residents without access to a private car, were evacuated by FEMA after 70% of the occupied housing units were flooded by the breach of the levees. The purpose of this study is to understand and address key gaps in the process of disaster recovery in the case of Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. We seek to address the two main research questions. How is the extent of recovery assessed, and what factors seem to determine the effectiveness of recovery? In order to effectively measure and analyze disaster recovery, team members each conducted a literature review on disaster recovery measures and indicators and constructed a framework. The framework analyzes different factors, variables, and determinants that affect the recovery process from pre-disaster, disaster, response interventions, and the new normal. Although there are many different components linked to recovery, the following key determinants were identified to predominantly affect the recovery process. Pre-disaster infrastructure of levees and subsequent rebuilding and restructuring, pre-disaster social and racial inequities, segregation of Black Americans in lower sea level areas of NOLA, high poverty rates, high social vulnerability score, insufficient disaster and emergency response. The urban landscape made it difficult for residents to evacuate due to limited resources, social capital, or knowledge. Displacement disproportionately affected African Americans and the poor, and the rate of return disproportionately favored white upper-class Americans. From this research and these initial findings, a horizontal analysis will be conducted among 3 other case studies to analyze the determinants of recovery. The other studies are Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, Hurricane Sandy in Haiti, and Hurricane Gilbert in Jamaica. The findings from this case study on Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans, prompted the following initial hypotheses to be tested. A high level of vulnerability pre-disaster predetermines a slower recovery process from the disaster regardless of severity, and the systems of inequities ultimately influence the recovery process, especially regarding poverty and racial inequities. Although this analysis is not extensive and does not include all aspects of the recovery framework, the most important factors were analyzed and a hypothesis to recovery factors proposed. These findings and hypotheses will inform our research and support conclusions on the disaster recovery process. Thank you for listening.